Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. We're going to be talking about Yuffie's new banner that just came out. It is a limited banner, so if you pull for this, you can't wishlist it later. For the newer players, that means that you have to go for whatever overboost you want now and then wait for weapon parts. So you usually want to aim for these weapons if you are going to go for them. OB6 in it, OB10 in it, depending on the weapon. So be careful with limited banners. There's a lot of them right now. Community's not happy about it. That's a whole nother video. For now, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about Yuffie, her whole kit, costume, weapon, wish list, how to build her, and how this weapon will affect her other builds as well. So let's jump in. Let's talk about Yuffie. Everything else from the new dungeon ranking, the reawaken banner will all be in a separate video. So is she good? She is a top DPS right now when it comes to water, and I know people are gonna compare her to Tifa's Dandelion, I think it's called, or Daffodil. They're going to compare her weapon to that weapon, and I'm going to explain the comparison. But costume-wise, Moogle, love it. Love it. There's always like some sort of Moogle on her costumes. Everything looks great. It's pretty much a copy and paste from the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. When you head to the Gold Saucer, that's all I'll say, just in case you haven't played it. I love the weapon design, color, and everything. It reminds me of World of Warcraft a lot. Either a Druid kind of weapon, just because of the color scheme, or Illidan's blade, right? Not super close, but pretty close enough to make my brain go, oh, I remember WoW. But Bird of Prey is what it's called. What does it do at one copy? One copy is a 620% potency at physical water for 4 ATB. And every time you cast this, you're applying exploit and refreshing it for plus 7 seconds. Our abilities are 32-20 for physical attack and boost physical ability potency. And this part's really important. I'm going to explain as we go. It's got high physical attack. It's got double physical attack boost materia slots with the circle sigil. Works really well. OB6, this thing is perfect at OB6. It's not going to be your strongest, but 780% at OB6. Weapons back then had to be OB10 to hit 750. I know it's not really a whole good comparison, but even respectfully at 780, having exploit for potency of 30% is very, very strong. This is at 20%, just one copy. It goes to 30%. So every time you cast this, you're always doing damage while keeping exploit. So it's like constantly having a water buff on, constantly. And its duration's 35 seconds. Not really important when your main ability is always being cast. That exploit's always going to be there. You can time it perfectly every single time. And then OB10, it hits a very respectable 940% physical water. And exploit goes to 45 seconds, stays at 30. Our abilities hit 46, 52. These are very, very good R abilities. For other characters, herself, it's going to be used in multiple places. Now, to break down this weapon, at OB6, it's going to be very strong. It's at 30% potency. That doesn't change to 40% like Tifa's Daffodil. It's either Dandelion or Daffodil. And I think I'm getting Dandelion because Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. But yeah, Tifa. We're going to go over here. I'm pretty sure it's Daffodil. Yeah, Daffodil. So this hits potency 40% at OB6 and OB10, right? With a huger duration. The thing about Tifa's ability is that, yeah, the R ability makes it so that it could be on any of her builds, being physical or magical, which makes this very, very strong because of that. The only downside is that Tifa has to pause for a second, cast this ability for exploit, and then go back to her main hand weapon and do the real damage. Because you're not going to be doing the greatest damage with this, especially because you're fighting a boss with elements. That's the whole point of exploit. It's like a buff towards whatever enemy's weakness is. But she has to go 2 million hit, 2 million hit. Okay, pause, exploit, rebuff, go back to hitting 2 million. So there's always an attack every time you have to reapply this that you're losing that 2 million hit that you could have done. Where in Yuffie's case here, and makes it so strong, is that her weapon is applying that exploit while you're doing that 2 million damage. I'm saying 2 million because I've seen a lot of people hit 2 million easily with these exploit builds, and more. But 940% physical water constantly. There's no pause for Yuffie. You're going to constantly do this. So as a water physical DPS, she is the strongest because the build works as with the rest of the setup. Especially when your front R abilities, you're maxing out physical ability potency and physical attack in just one more weapon, and it's very easy to pull this off. So this bird of prey, I think, is a very, very good weapon for the fact that she's never stopping her DPS to buff herself. Everything else in the game, you can pretty much do, right? You can lower the water resist down, you can buff her physical attack, lower her physical defense, and then, of course, water potency coming off of another character is going to happen, right? So like your healer or your sub DPS can buff her water damage, and then you're just going nuts with this character. So she never needs to debuff the enemy or buff herself. She can always cast damage, which makes it very powerful. And I know that the main thing here is that her weapon doesn't have water potency, and the reason I think that's actually really good, because her costume does come with it, we're talking about the costume in a second, the rest of her build, it's that now that the exploit is here, these R abilities can go into any of her other physical builds, right? Diner Tray is a physical wind build. You can bring this as her second weapon to apply exploit, and it benefits the build. So if you ended up putting water potency here, then this exploit wouldn't be as good. I know that has water physical, but even if it was non-elemental, the whole point is having exploit on a character because no other character can give Yuffie exploit. So it's one of those buffs that are, one of those buffs that are worth the pause to do. So this being physical attack and boost ability potency for physical is super strong for her other physical builds. And of course, these R abilities in the back of any character are going to work that it's a physical build. So where does that water come from? In her Wu Tai's Idol costume, she's got 15 points, which gives her 25% automatically, and all you need is another 50 points to hit that 100% where you should aim for every DPS. Water Blade Arcanum, 35% water damage. I would say that with her current weapon, this is a really good costume. It just has a small downfall because water potency is not a unique R ability. It's not defense up. It's not some kind of buff duration. It's nothing unique, right? You can just do this with weapons in the back. With her current build, this is necessary. But once the R abilities, we get more weapons with like 52 water potency. Once we start seeing more weapons like that can work on physical builds, this becomes a dead R ability. At the moment, it is necessary for her current build, right? Or really, really helps. But that will be the downfall of this Arcanum costume, is because this will probably become redundant eventually. At the moment, it's really good setup altogether. So the builds you're looking at, there is currently 2 builds, or there's a lot of builds, right? Depending on what you have. But if you want to go straight DPS, for what you can wish list, I'm going to move my camera over here. There's limited builds. I'm going to talk about her limited builds because she has Bahamut Cutter. We got Stream Saber from Glenn, has water on it and all attack. But for what you could wish list as a free-to-play player, a new player, a player who didn't pull on all the limited banners, you're stuck to using her, for her specifically, we're going to start off with the Twin Viper, right? We're going to get some physical attack off of this and boost attack. And then the other option here is this Wind one, which can be used for her physical wind setup. You've got 46 boost attack over here, right? This works because the back weapons that we have, like Maritime from Cloud, has 46 boost attack with 39 water. And you've got Tempest off of Sephiroth over here, has 46, 39 water. You also have, where is it? Zack's Black Whiskers, but I think Zack will be paired up with her just because Zack does lower physical defense and water resist all in one go. These R abilities can be used for her, but it is overkill on the physical attack. So the chances of Zack actually being in the party with her are pretty high. But if you're not going to do that, then you can do these 2 characters. But that's 3 options you guys can do to do physical attack. So with her current main hand weapon and one of these physical attacks in the backhand, you now maxed out her physical attack and you're adding water potency to the build. And the reason I'm bringing in Twin Viper over here, or the other one, is because we need to start working on boost attack. So with boost attack on her offhand weapon, you now just apply Feather Gloves and you do Red 13's Noble Collar, and boom, you've got maxed out physical, maxed out boost attack, maxed out water at 100%. You've got her whole setup working out really nicely. So that's the idea of this one. Let me show it to you visually. Okay, so visually, let's just pretend that this is Yuffie's new costume, her new weapon. You're going to put Twin Viper in the offhand or the other boost attack weapon. Feather Gloves, Noble in the back with Maritime or Black Whiskers or Tempest for physical attack. And this way you get all the R abilities perfectly maxed out. Here's an example, and I know you guys keep asking about this website. At the moment, there's just stuff that can't be done, so I'm only one currently using it to give you guys these visual presentations. So if you do Wutai's Auto, Bird of Prey, Twin Viper, if you put her basic ultimate weapon into the mix, Maritime, Feather, Noble, you get maxed out 25% for boost attack, physical attack. You get 100% water potency, physical ability potency at 70% with ability potency at 15 for that ultimate weapon she has, right? It's a very, very good setup for non-limited weapons on it. Now, if we want to do a limited version of this, then if you guys have the Bahamut Cutter, if you guys have, so we're going to go take away Noble Collar, we're going to go Stream Saber, or Stream Slasher, that's what it's called. It's Glenn's weapon, which has water potency and physical attack all. You now bring that bonus to 85% total while holding 100% water potency still, and maxing out physical ability potency at 80%. So this setup is really good. You could put Bahamut Cutter in the main hand instead, but you're still going to end up with 85% total. The only difference is if you do Bahamut Cutter and Bird of Prey over here, then your other weapons are more of like the Black Whiskers, Maritime in there. This one works more of the boost attack because there's only currently 2 boost attack weapons in the game with water potency, and that's Red 13s and Tifa's that you guys see here. So this is more of, did you pull on other limited banners like herself, plus the Stream Slasher from Glenn and have that OB10 as well? If you do, this build works really well. You could also take away that Stream Slasher there. You just got to hit that potency. So you're missing some attack there, so you can put Noble back here if you want. And again, you still hit 20% here, 50 here, and 14 here. So that's a total of 84%, right? You lose 1%. But this is more manageable because you probably don't have Stream Slasher, and you might have Bahamut Cutter because it was a really good weapon when it came out. So that still works because 100% potency, 80 physical, so maxed out, maxed to pretty good maxed out, and then these are maxed out or close enough. You're missing 5%. So it works out. It works out really, really well. These are the builds you guys can go for. You could put Bahamut Cutter in the front for the rest of the party and Birds of Prey over here on the offhand, and that way you're sitting at this instead. If you guys end up doing this, you have the 20% for the main hand, 40 over here, 60, and then 25. Again, that's 85% total. But you do want to hit that physical, so we'll take away Noble and we'll put like Black Whiskers for now. So now you hit that physical attack at 50%. So you've got 10 here, 50, again, 85%, still hitting 100. So lots of ways to look at it, mix and match it, right? All the weapons I just showed you, the only difference is you're using her limited weapon or you're using that Stream Slasher, which is, again, a limited weapon, right? Boost attack, all allies, water potency. So, lots of ways to build Yuffie in a free-to-play, new player, and a player who has a lot of limited weapons. She is the best magic DPS, and I was going to talk about her other setups. Like I said, because she has those R abilities, you could bring in Diner Tray here, right? And Diner Tray allows you to go ahead and have exploit work because she needs a physical build for that. Arctic Star is a really good weapon to wishlist here because another build you guys can do with her is have Arctic Star. So if you have Birds of Prey, right? You go Arctic Star over here, and now you maxed out your physical attack, plus you have buff duration. And then you just got to make sure everything over here is, this is another build, is 2 boost attack and 1 of anything you want, really. Because if you look at it, physical attack, boost attack, sorry, is at 20%. Physical attack's at 69, but you're missing water potency. So if you have that Stream Slasher, you can put that Stream Slasher in there. And that way you now have 20, 50, 84% altogether with 100%. And Arctic Star now gives you buff duration. So that's another one you can do. Arctic Star is a really good option to put there. It's a very powerful weapon, and it has physical attack buff. So these are things you could do. You want to hit that 100% water potency. I know you could put in like automatic, enemy launcher, right, to make that build different, but you're missing water potency. And that's why her costume having water potency is so important. But Artistar is a good one to have because of the boost attack to max it out and adding that extra, while also giving herself physical attack if no one else is doing it, and one to her ally. So that gives like an overall really good. If you don't have Bahamut Cutter, that's a great option to do too. But like I was saying, Yuffie can buff her other physical builds. So if you are running her physical builds for this setup, you could use that exploit for any of them really. So yeah, Diner Tray, you have her physical fire build, you have her earth build, which I think would be this one, Hawkeye. Yeah, 850 physical. So all these have their R abilities with the boost potency. And because her new one, again, doesn't have any potency, it works really, really well in all those builds. So exploit is worth it right now to stop the DPS, use it, and then jump in back to your normal attack. So right there, 1, 2, 3 builds, more to come. Probably some I forgot. But yeah, this exploit weapon, if you're someone who uses Yuffie, worth it. If you don't have water, worth it. If you just want everything Yuffie, worth it. But is it something you need in your kit? It's just like any other DPS, right? DPSs are dimes a dozen. You get a bunch of them. You just got to make sure that you have every element covered, right? You want to make sure you have a fire build, a water build, a wind build, earth build, fire build. So you pick and choose which character is going to do that for you. So if you want Yuffie to be your water DPS, it is a very good choice. So I think I covered everything. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Again, this video is just to cover Yuffie specifically, her wish listing, her builds, how to go about it, and how this weapon works on other builds that she has. So I think it's a very fantastic weapon. It definitely could have been better. Could have been something more like Daffodil from Tifa, where it could work for both physical and magical in the R build category. But she does have 3 really solid physical builds and 3 other elements, and more to come. So it is not a bad choice. Exploit is definitely the way to go when the game starts giving other characters the option to start buffing every element. So for now, let me know what you guys think of Yuffie. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.